were able to meet the target and exceed it, it is only fair that we thank them. But I'll seek a clarification in the following areas. They are not limited to URA, but they can explain their part. It's a pandemic that I think even the Honorable Musasizi and Amos found in government, that you have items for which you must put money, whether they are relevant or not. I want to start with the workshops and seminars, because I have looked at the procurement plan submitted together with the document, that you are going to spend 13.5 trillion, billion, 13 billion on workshops and seminars, spend another 80 billion on staff training. You have 23 billion on welfare and entertainment. I don't know who benefits from this entertainment. I thought you guys are very busy. Entertainment. And then you need to explain, I need just to understand, where you have 52 billion for information and communication technology supply, and then you have 17 billion again on information and communication technology. One is supply, the other one is services. I have another item here, if you can allow, Chairman. I just want to know, because the procurement plan is not detailed. You're actually just listing them the same way you are listing them here. Then the medical. Last year it was controversial. I thought you hadn't explained it properly. Is this medical insurance, or you separately pay suppliers? Chairman, and then finally, the issue of rent. I had thought when we spend nearly 180 billion on construction of that tower in Nakawa, that the issue of rent was resolved. But I saw you recently, as soon as Sudil completed the building, you were the first to occupy it. You're occupying other facilities of Sudil. Are you just a conduit that through URA they go and pay Sudil money? Because after construction of that tower, but in any case, if you look at the amount that you are quoting here for rent, if you give me this money, I will build for you offices in the next 5 years. You don't need to rent. So why do you continue renting, and renting almost to the same fellows, Sudhir and others? Even a building, I think even before the paint dried, for you had already arrived and parked your vehicles. I don't even know how you got to know that the building is complete. Because I passed there, I saw URA vehicles, they were still painting. So you need to explain the issue of rent. Because you can't simply collect money and then go and spend it like. I am not only accusing you, but I am accusing the entire government. You just have to explain your portion. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank you, Uganda Revenue Authority, for your performance. The non-wage, that is on 3.0. The supplementary that you received on funding of the repo, NAMI, and were those costs that were facilitated to this amount of money, or this was part of their expenditures?
I have active donor support, some coming through the ESC, but how come that we are having 0,000 set out, and you know that there is a on the performance at Q2. I'm very concerned that the revenue is growing at 8%. And more concerning is that the domestic tax is growing much less than the international trade taxes, which should be the opposite, because we know that the GDP has been growing, and the Minister here for Planning, Honorable Amos, is here, and the NPA people are here. You are very much aware that the GDP has been growing, and we need to look at the sectors which have grown and their contribution to revenue. How then would you see the drop in revenue growth, even not in double digit? But most importantly, also, the Honorable Minister here has invested, government has invested in wealth funds. Myoga, PDM, all these wealth funds, I think they are now more than 4 trillion. These ones would have created, aggregate demand, because the money is going direct into the people. And so you would expect that the resultant output would be increased consumption. And increased consumption means that the indirect taxes like VAT would be growing over the years. So how come that we are seeing a drop in domestic tax growth? And even more worrying that the international taxes that are growing, well aware that you actually have a lot of non-dutable imports. So we need clarity what is causing this. And
members, we have budget estimates and MTEF allocations in billion shillings. Wage for financial year 2024-2025 was 299.356 billions. For financial year 2025-26 was 400.258 billions. And for financial year 2026 to 2027, it is 400.258 billions.
In the interest of time, you look at the ones of 26-27.
Okay. For non-wage, for 26-27, thank you for the guidance, Honorable Chair, is 412.35 billions. And capital development, Government of Uganda, is 64.78 billion. And the total is 877.396, as the Minister already indicated. And external funding, financing, we only have one, which is under UN-UWIDA, of 0.159 billion. UN University World Institute for Development Economics Research is supporting us greatly in URA research initiatives. Through my ministers, Honorable 26-27 up to 2030-2031. And they are in form of projects, and the project code is under 1904, Institutional Development of Uganda Revenue Authority, and for the financial year 2026-27 is 220.605 billion. Financial year 27-28 is 16.88 billion. Financial year 28-29 is 121.664. Financial year 29-30 is 71.961. And the last year of MTEF financial year 30-31 is 4 billion. Project code 1918 is construction of office accommodation for URA stations, Mbale office, the National Tax Academy construction, and the Guru office. And in financial year 26-27, it is 80.403 billion, and in 27-28 will be 23.05, and the rest of the years it is 0. So grand total for 26-27 is 301.008, 27-28 is 36.93 billions, 28-29 is 121.664 billion, 29-30 is 71.961, and in 30-31 is 4 billion. Through my honorable ministers, prayer 26-27, and we have the allocation per activity. Under PIAP output for improved institutional coordination, management, and reporting, we are going to do tax education and awareness interventions across regions and sectors and gender. And the allocation is 8.9 billion. Public relations, outreach, tax accountability drives, and client support initiatives is 4.080 billion. Regional integrity consultations, campaigns, and investigations that will strengthen staff compliance to procedures, guidelines, and standards to curb corruption tendencies, 0.7 billion. Strategic partner engagements to support revenue mobilizations, including membership contributions and engagements with OECD, African Tax Administrators Forum, World Customs Organization, COMESA, East African Community, East African Revenue Authority Tax Carter, that is Commonwealth Association of Tax Administrators, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as the private sector engagements, take 12.074. There are also fixed costs of staff costs, transport costs, repairs, utilities, and other administrative expenses for Commissioner General's Office, 10.850 billion. The subtotal is 36.604 billion. Through my honorable ministers, honorable chair, and honorable members, PIAP output on increased domestic revenue. We are going to do sector-based compliance and enforcement actions, audits, inspections, advisories, rental tax compliance improvement, and the allocation is 42.261 billion. Tax register expansion program, collaboration interventions is 7.459 billion. Customs compliance enhancement interventions, which include post-clearance audits, registration of new authorized economic operators, valuation controls, seizures, and destruction of substandard goods to eliminate counterfeits, is allocated 1.525 billion. Transit monitoring of goods, tracking through the regional electronic cargo and driver tracking system, 10.025 billion. The bonded warehouse information management system to have control mechanism is 1 billion. Intensifying non-intrusive inspection of cargo and surveillance of wider coverage of the porous borders to curb smuggling through intelligence-focused operations, 13.5 billion. The other PIAP domestic revenue. And in our planned activities, it will implement alternative dispute resolution, mechanisms for fast recovery of taxes, prosecution, and litigation interventions, which is 2.3 billion allocation. Combat fraud, tax evasion, and non-compliance through extensive intelligence and tax investigations, allocation 5.7 billion. To implement science, forensics, and exchange of information support, 3.175 billion. Implement staff capacity development, competence-based programs, and change management, 9.1 billion. Talent sourcing, staff, 8 billion. Systems upgrade, the URA electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, IFRIS, digital support and maintenance services for efficient revenue mobilization, 62.618 billion. On increased domestic revenue, PIAP output, there is service support interventions, which include refunds management, dismanagement, debt recovery interventions, and other revenue interventions during the peak season, 0.518 billion allocation optimized for client experience and linkages to the e-tax 1 for effective service delivery, 0.665. There are also fixed costs, staff costs, transport costs, rent, repairs, utilities, and other administrative expenses, office rent for corporate services department, customs, legal services, and border academy. So the total allocation subtotal here is 809.346 billion. Under PIAP coordination management and reporting, we have extensive in terms, taking 0.54, revamp the business. We have Mbale Regional Office, the allocation is 18.553. We have the IT equipment and primary data center upgrade, which is 13.272 billion. We have the disaster recovery system, which is 10.2 billion. We have the e-tax 2 interventions and petroleum, oil and gas solutions of 21.104 billion. Office equipment of 1.159 billion. Furniture and fittings of 0.500 billion. The total is 64.788 billion. Through my honorable ministers, honorable chair, and honorable members, I'm touching the under the cross-cutting issues. We have non-discrimination, gender and equity, where we are going to carry out regional-based consultations with the trade communities on tax reforms, carry out tax education for special interest groups, the youth, the women, persons with special needs, conduct sensitizations on sexual harassment, and the budget is 0.2 billion. We have HIV, AIDS, and malaria, 0.1% of non-pension, non-transfer budgets, and here we are going to provide a special fund to cater for staff and their family members affected with HIV, AIDS, and malaria, and provide counseling of staff and health week sessions. The budget allocation is 0.4 billion. There's climate change mitigation adaptation. In this, we are going to carry out waste management, segregation, and disposal activities, procure waste sorter bins at source, and also carry out on landscaping and greening the environment at the URA offices. The allocation is 1 billion. Through my honorable ministers, honorable members, there was a request to give responses to Parliament on the Office of the Auditor General audit for financial year 2024-25. We have attached it as an attachment, and the responses to Parliament on OAG report for 24-25, they have been provided in the MPS documents. Performance of the vote. The first one is lack of data standards. Lack of data standards, which affects integration and exchange of information, as well as inadequate levels of automation across the ministries, departments, and agencies. The other challenge to vote performance is the smuggling of goods due to differences in the tax rates among especially the partner states. We still have different rates, especially import duties, VAT, and others. Growing informal sector that is hard to reach, and prayers are not registered on our tax register. So these are the challenges to vote performance, and the honorable minister, through my minister, I beg to submit and allow you to proceed.